Hi, I'm Lois Beres at KZGN-TV, and this is Ridgecrest Talk. And today I have with me Mary Stage from the Ridgecrest, is it Animal Shelter? Okay, and Lance. We're going to talk about Lance here in a little bit. But, Mary, are you the director? Is that your title? Or?
I'm the supervisor for animal control.
Supervisor for animal control out there. So that's a big job that she's got. Little personal stuff about you first. How long have you been in Ridgecrest?
In Ridgecrest, about 32 years.
Oh, really? That's a good long time.
Yeah.
Have you always been involved with animals?
My entire life, since I was little.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
right.
One way or another.
There's somewhere.
Yeah.
I was kind of the mean mom for a while. My kids wanted dogs. You can have a dog, but it's got to stay outside. And then I had my little dog, and he just ran the house.
Yeah.
So it's a different concept of how you do it.
Yes. As I was little, my neighbors, school friends would all bring me injured animals, and I would care for them. And I was the local vet in the neighborhood, so it started very young, and my parents just kind of threw their hands up and went.
So you're in a perfect place for something that you've loved doing for a long, long time. Right. Now this thing that you work for is a city function?
The animal shelter is a city shelter.
Okay.
It's run by the city, as well as we are a division of the Ridgecrest Police Department.
Oh, is that right?
Right.
Okay.
So animal control and the animal shelter is under the police department.
Ah, I didn't know that. So you are funded through the city then?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And then I heard that licensing for animals is done out there now. Is that correct?
All city and county licenses.
And county too?
Correct. Oh. At the animal shelter, we have taken over the county licenses, obviously, because there's the county. If you were to purchase a license, you would have to go to Bakersfield or mail your paperwork to Bakersfield and wait. So we offered to take that over to make it more convenient for the local people to come
What's
in.
required to license an animal?
You are required to bring in a certificate of rabies.
Okay.
It needs to be current, and if the dog is spayed or neutered, bring proof of that as well, and you get a discount. Both city and county give discount to spay and neutered animals, and then you'll get a dog tag that the dog is required to wear.
Okay.
And the purpose of that tag is not just so that you can say, well, you know, I bought a tag, but it's to be put on the dog, so that if the dog should accidentally get out, then that number that's on the license comes back to your information. So if somebody, say, finds your dog running loose, they just call the shelter, they give us the dog's number, and we say, oh, that belongs to Joe at this phone number, give him a call. He'd be happy to come get the dog.
Oh, that's
and that way it avoids coming into the shelter, it avoids us, you know, having to impound the animal. You know, if we can get the animal back into its original home, that's what we want. That's what it's all about.
That's what he wants too.
And that's what the people want. So, but if you don't put any information on your animal, I mean, how many white poodles do you see in Ridgecrest? Lots.
Yeah,
so how are we supposed to know where that dog belongs?
No, that's not mine. That must be hers.
So licensing and microchipping is very important.
Do you guys do microchipping?
We do microchipping at the animal shelter. It's a lifetime registration. You don't have to do anything, renew every year like some of the other microchips. You can come down to the shelter anytime that we're open, and it's $35. And we microchip it right there. It's like an injection. It's just like giving the dog a shot. And it protects the dog. If the dog loses its collar or the tag falls off, we scan. We have scanners in our trucks as well as at the shelter. We scan every animal we pick up, and the officers scan them in the field. So that way if they find a dog on the street, they just scan it, they call me up, and they say, who's this dog belong to? I plug it in the computer, up comes the owner's information, take it to such and such an address.
XYZ. That is
and again, we avoid the shelter so that that animal can go straight home, and plus it helps so people aren't out searching for their animals for hours.
That's right, or putting signs up on everything.
If I'm calling you, there's no need for you to be out searching hours and hours for your animal, because as soon as I pick up your animal, if it has a tag, I'm going to call you, and if it has a microchip, I'm going to call you.
Yeah,
so
that's
it
great.
really, really helps.
What's the cost?
The microchipping is $35.
Okay,
and that's
then?
lifetime. The only time you would ever have to pay extra is if you move. Then you would pay like a $6 owner transfer information.
You don't have to change the chip, just the records?
No, just the records,
Okay.
yeah. So you would contact us or the company, and they would go ahead and transfer or change the information. If everything pretty much stays the same, then you don't have to pay a membership every year like some of the other microchips.
Some of them do.
Yeah,
right.
Some of them are like $24 a year.
Wow.
Every year, and you know.
And you don't chip or do that with cats?
We do.
Do you?
We can chip anything. I've chipped horses.
Oh, really?
Birds.
Oh my gosh, I had no idea.
Anything that you want, that you feel you want back.
Okay.
You can. We have chipped. So you know, people chip
really
rabbits. You know, show dogs. A lot of show dogs, show cats, show chickens. You know.
I hadn't thought about a show chicken.
You know,
that's a new
so
one.
goats, sheep. You can microchip anything.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Do you have a microchip, Lance?
Say not yet, but as
Not
soon as
yet.
somebody comes and takes me home, I'm going to get one.
We're going to talk about Lance here just in a minute. How many animals do you have out there now?
Right now we have about 88, between 88 and 93.
Okay.
We had a lot of adoptions this week, so...
she had a special, I understood, out there this week. So.
We did have a special, which ends tomorrow. So cats, dogs, kittens, puppies, we have them all. And we hope that people will come down, and I'd like to see an empty kennel someday. Some
Wouldn't that be
empty
neat?
shelter, yeah. It would just be wonderful.
You guys take care of them. How many people work out there?
There are 4 employees of the city, myself, and then I have 2 animal control officers. I have a senior animal control officer, and then I have an officer that came on about a year ago. So I have 2 officers, and I have a kennel attendant. And the other help and assistance we get is through our volunteers.
I was wondering if you could have volunteers.
We have a very large volunteer program,
that's great.
We work closely with our volunteers. They come in and they help us get a lot of the things done, exercising, cleaning. They transport animals to the vet for me. They transport animals to rescues. Whatever we need, our volunteers step up to the plate, and they're right there for us.
Oh, that's great. Well, we're going to go into that a little bit more. We want to get your address and all the numbers that they need to talk to in just a little bit, and talk about what a typical day might be like out there.
A lot of cleaning.
I can imagine. I just had one dog.
Yeah, if you only have one dog, you know how much time that takes. And if you can imagine 80 to 90.
We'll be right back, folks, and we'll finish up talking about this in a minute. Hi, we're back with Lois and Mary and Lance. And we're going to talk a little bit more about the animal shelter. I don't know how many of you know where it is. Can you tell us where you're located?
Yeah, our address is 411 San Bernardino Boulevard. It's also known as County Line Road for those old-timers that have been here a while.
Yeah, I've heard that.
And we're just off of Ridgecrest Boulevard, heading towards Trona.
And we're like the last thing in Ridgecrest.
That's the last street in Ridgecrest before you we're way before the BLM corrals. So if you've gone to BLM corrals, you've gone too far.
Gone too far, come back.
Yes,
right.
Come back. You can adopt a horse later.
Yeah.
And you'll see a big green highway sign on Ridgecrest Boulevard. It says Ridgecrest Animal Shelter and has the arrow pointing to the right. And just follow that, and we're 3/4 of a mile up on County Line Road.
And your hours of operation?
We are open Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, 11 to 5, and Saturday, 10 to 4. We are closed right now Thursday and Sundays.
Okay.
So we were short-handed there for a while, and some of us were working 7 days, so we needed to close an extra day.
Need a little bit of
just
breather.
to get a breather.
Yeah.
So.
But then you had somebody had to go out and feed the.
Well, we still work. I mean, even though we're closed to the public on Thursday and Sunday, we're still there for about 5 to 6 hours on the days that we're closed, cleaning, feeding, making sure those that are on medication are medicated, those that you know, need to be exercised, because some of the dogs come in, they don't want to potty in their kennels, so
Oh, sure.
we have to take them out into the play yard and exercise them and let them take care of business, and so there's a lot more to it than a lot of people realize.
Exactly, not just putting them in there and feeding them.
Right.
You
You're not just throwing, some are on special diets.
How do you know that?
You can, you know, you get some of the animals in that may be too skinny.
Okay, so just
or
looking at them
just
and
looking at
what
them,
you're doing.
you're the whole time the animal is there, you're assessing the animal.
Okay.
How does the poop look? How does is he urinating? Is he too skinny? So these are all things that you take into consideration when you feed. And so some of them get special diets, some of them get canned food, some of them are too fat and need to have reduced food, you know, so they're all, you know, we look at each animal individually and use consideration in how we feed, what we're feeding, what their needs are.
This is pretty much your experience, or your
This is through my experience.
Yeah.
I've had many, many years of experience in the veterinary field, in the boarding kennel field, in the training field, and so.
Do you get any cooperation from vets that will help you?
We work closely with a lot of vets in town, and they support what we do, and they try to help us wherever they can.
Oh, that's
but
good.
you know, we still.
Well, there's still a business.
There's still a
Right.
business, and
Yeah.
there's still fees that need to be paid, and their expenses and such. So, you know, nothing is free in this world
that's
anymore.
No free lunch at all,
and
or whatever.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so, and I've already tried using the barter system. I'll give you a dog if you give me medicine.
Sometimes that might work. Sometimes it might
Sometimes it
not.
does. Sometimes they look at me like, I have enough, thank you. You've already bartered us out.
Remember last time I took the two of those?
Yes,
Right.
so.
That's funny. When I was out there the other day, you had that beautiful German Shepherd. He was so pretty. Does he live there, or is he just one of your...
Actually, the dark German Shepherd that's behind the counter,
So pretty.
that's Ruby, and that's my dog.
Oh, okay.
She comes to work with me.
Ah.
We also go to the schools, and she teaches kids how to be safe around animals.
Oh.
And she does tricks for them and shows them how to approach her and how not to approach her. And we do a whole big thing for the schools, and anybody that invites us, we go together and
she was so friendly, and I didn't know. I asked, is it
Yeah.
okay if I approach her?
Oh
'Cause
yeah,
I wasn't
she's,
sure, but
she
was
loves everyone,
beautiful.
and she loves kids, and
So you actually work with the schools then?
we work with the
I did
schools,
not know that.
and
That's great.
we've been to several of the schools with her, and the kids just really enjoy her. And
Oh, sure, I can see that.
they just all get
And
excited.
they go home and say, Mom, can
Yeah,
I have a dog?
exactly. That's the point.
Right. And then they come out and say, Mary, what'd you do?
What'd you do?
I've got
Yeah,
a dog
and
now.
we've, you know, we do school tours and we do scout tours, and
Okay.
for people that want to bring the kids over to do a tour, and we'll give them a complete tour of the shelter, and give them a little talk on how to care for animals, and the importance of licensing an animal, and we'll bring in animals out for them to hold and to play with in the play yard, and so they get a
nice.
really good experience that way too. So.
Well, that is great. I did not know you did that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you talked about licensing, and I want to skip back just a little
Okay.
bit. I don't think we got the fees on that. What are
Licensing,
fees?
if the dog is already fixed, then the license is $15 a year.
Okay.
If you wanted to do it for 3 years, which is in conjunction with the rabies vaccination, it's $30 for 3 years. So we give you 1 year off if you do it for the 3 years, providing that the rabies shot is good for 3 years.
And every dog
Every dog.
in town has to be licensed.
Every dog has to be licensed. It's required by law at the age of 4 months and older.
I think a lot of people don't know that.
A lot of people aren't aware, or they've been told 6 months, or they've been told a year, but the
You're saying
state law
3 months?
is 4 months of
4
age.
months.
Right.
Okay.
They are required to get a rabies vaccination at 4 months, and then they're required to get a license at 4 months.
Okay, that's
And
good.
that's when they would bring their certificate to the shelter and purchase the dog license at the shelter.
Awesome. That's
So.
great. And cats don't have to be licensed.
Cats aren't required by law yet to
Why?
be licensed. Good question.
They're usually more roaming around than than dogs.
and the thing is with a dog, proving where the dog lives is very easy, because the dog always runs home and scratches at the front door or jumps in the yard. A cat will go from house to house, so it's very hard to prove ownership for a cat, even though, you know, a person does own a cat, especially if it's a domestic cat. We ask people if they want to license their cats. We don't enforce it as far as it's not a law that they have to. But it's very smart for a lot of cats that wander free to have, whether it's a license or some form of identification. I tell people, I don't care if you spray paint your phone number alongside the animal. Just give me something to get this animal back to you.
Exactly.
I don't want the animal here. I don't have that kind of space. And, you know, accidents happen, and nobody understands that more than us. We know things happen. But give me a way to get that animal back to you. That's, you know, that's where my goal is. I don't want to have to keep an animal.
That's a good reason for licensing.
For licensing, for microchipping.
Okay.
You know, people say, well, I don't want to put a collar on my cat. Then microchip it.
That's a good idea.
Doesn't have to have a collar, but if I pick it up or if somebody finds it and brings it to the shelter, it gives me a way to scan it and call you, and it saves you so much time. It saves people so much time.
Right.
Looking for their animal.
We're going to talk about that more in just a little bit, but we're going to go to a break.
Okay.
And we'll be back, and maybe we'll get Lance to get up and show us what he's
wake up,
doing.
Lance.
We'll be back in just a bit, folks. We are back, and it's Lois and Mary and Lance again. And Lance has been here with us. How long have you had him?
We've had Lance about 2 months.
Was he a turn-in? Do you remember?
He was a stray.
Just a stray?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he came in,
cute.
He and his buddy decided to go out on a walkabout.
Oh, good. And somebody said, hey, Mary.
And someone said, there's 2 dogs on a walkabout, and so we went and picked them up, running loose, and nobody's come for them. Unbelievable. He's such a wonderful.
Gentle.
He's very gentle. He's so calm. We've had him in the office, and he's just a very relaxed dog.
It's like he's used to being in the house.
Yeah, and
makes you wonder why somebody wouldn't come for him.
And he was neutered already, so somebody put some money into him. It's just
maybe they'll see him tonight.
Hopefully they will.
Hey, that's my dog.
And
otherwise, I might have to take him home. No.
Yeah, well, that's all right.
We'll make a deal.
All right. Yep. And he's about 3 years old.
Okay.
And good with other animals. Very well behaved. Very well behaved dog.
If you have a love for animals and don't mind a whole lot of work, Mary could use you as a volunteer. And what would they do to ask or to?
They can go to the Ridgecrest Police Department and ask for an animal welfare packet to volunteer.
Animal welfare packet at the police department.
Right. And volunteer at the animal shelter. They'll give them a packet. They can take it home, fill it out, and then bring it back to the police department and give it to the people at the front counter. And then the coordinator for PACT, Police and Citizens Together, will give them a call, set up an interview, and then we get the process going once we have that application packet.
Oh, that's great. And then you can go out there and help with all these beautiful
animals. And you can
animals.
come help and play with animals. We do need people to help that's willing to come and clean. We need help in transportation of animals to rescues, groomers, veterinarians.
Wow.
There's so much involved in an animal shelter that a lot of people that aren't involved go, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that this is all going on.
You know, I have had animals and there's a lot of work, but I didn't think about having 90 animals or however many. How many did you say you have now?
We have about between 83 and 90.
Most of the time?
Yeah, most of the time.
Wow. About 50 cats and dogs?
About 50-50, yeah.
Okay.
And it just week to week it differs. You know, some days we get more cats in, some days we get more dogs. But every day we get something.
Okay.
We never know what. There's always cleaning. We're nonstop. You know, we take pride in our shelter. We take
it's beautiful out there, actually.
Pride in the care we give to the animals because that's what they deserve. They deserve to be taken care of properly.
Absolutely.
They get groomed. They get baths.
I was thinking how well groomed
he had his haircut last week or so.
Yeah.
You know, if they're sick, we go get them medicine. But again, all this takes money.
Sure,
it takes
does.
effort. It takes somebody to get them to the vet, to the groomer, you know, to a rescue.
Do you have any problems with funding?
Most of our general basic funding is done through the city.
And they budget that for
They
you?
will budget for certain things.
Okay.
Anything extra I do or that we do at the shelter is all through donations.
I was going to ask if you did fundraisers or took donations.
We do take donations. We try to do as many fundraisers. You have to remember there's only 4 of us.
That's true. You can't do a whole lot of big fundraisers.
Working 7 days a week.
Wow.
So, you know, it's sometimes
So
it
she
gets
does
hard.
need volunteers.
Yes, so volunteers are a big help to us. We cannot emphasize how much our volunteers help us. Just yesterday, one of my volunteers went to Palmdale, took 10 animals to be spayed and neutered.
Oh my God.
Tomorrow, I have a dog going to rescue. They're driving from Ridgecrest.
What does that mean? Go to rescue?
To a rescue. For instance, I have an Australian Shepherd that has been at the shelter for months. I haven't been able to find it a home.
Oh.
But there's a breed specific. There's an Australian Shepherd rescue. It's like a foster. They take in that specific breed. But they're in San Diego.
So you've got to have somebody drive him
all
down.
of my employees wanted to go to San Diego to take this dog.
I'll take him. Right, yeah.
You know, on my other volunteers were busy going in other directions. You know, I had to try to find somebody else to transport this dog halfway at least. So what they do is they meet with the representative of the other organization.
Well, that's remarkable.
So that we can get this animal into a foster home that at least has knowledge of that breed.
That particular breed and its needs and that
and they
sort of
know
thing.
their needs and such.
Okay. Well, sometimes if people are like heading off on a trip or something and they know they're going somewhere, could they give you a call and say, do you need anything moved to an area?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And a lot of times that's what happens is, for instance, when he took the 10 dogs down, he was going down for a meeting.
Anyway.
He was going down anyway for a meeting, and he says, I'm headed this way, do you need anything? And I went, sure.
Do they need to be certified volunteers?
It helps because then they're covered under our insurance, but not necessarily. It depends on how frequently we're going to use them. If we're going to if they're willing to be used a lot, then I prefer that they become a volunteer, a full-fledged volunteer.
Yeah.
You know, if they're going to be able to help once in a while, maybe twice a year or something, then that's not necessary. But again, there's so many different types of volunteer projects that we need help with. Just research, grant research.
Just talking to you today has been amazing to me, all the things that you have to do to keep that going.
It's everything we do extra. Medicine we buy for the animals.
Wow.
Canned food that we buy for the animals. The city will provide dry food, but canned food is a luxury.
Well,
so we have to, you know,
we
do take canned food donations. Treats is a luxury,
Wow.
not stuff the city pays for. So, you know, these are all things through donations. When I go to a groomer, that comes out of donation money. Vet medicine comes out of donation money.
Wow.
So there's a lot of money that comes out of donation money and fundraising and just talking to people and people who care about animals.
It's remarkable that you do all this, and we are so lucky to have this. A lot of small towns don't have this. It's been wonderful to have you here, and now you guys all know her address. You know where they are. You can get out there and adopt a pet or let a pet adopt you.
Exactly.
Go see Mary. And thank you for bringing Lance. He's available.
Yes. If he ever wakes up today, Lance.
Yeah.
Look,
he doesn't want to wake up. Anyway, folks, we will see you next week. And thank you, Mary, very much.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having us.
Yes, ma'am.